All right, take number 2 on this one, man. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Like, I got like a minute and a half into this video, and I was like, shit, I need more stuff. But what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Pnoid News, man. Listen, so, like, look, I saw this video, like, last week, and I be, like, procrastinating and, you know what I mean, like, masturbating and fornicating and just all types of aiding, all right? Legitimately. I be, you know what I mean, I be lazy, all right, sometimes. I be lazy and I don't make videos when I should make videos. But this is a WISECRACK video, and I'll be honest with you, all right, I fucking hate people who are Pavlovian trained, right? And if you don't know what Pavlovian trained is, right, it's basically where, like, if somebody says something or you have, like, some type of outside thing you see, you immediately, like, do something, and it's almost uncontrolled, right? Like, I know we've all ran into the dude who, like, we're like, man, listen, women are fucking terrible. And they go, but men are bad too. That's Pavlovian training, right? They have been literally, like, conditioned to say this shit, right? In the end of the day, right? You know what I mean? And this has actually started with dogs and then went to humans, you know what I mean, under the times of, you know, our favorite motherfucking prophet, Edward Bernays. You know what I'm saying? By the way, check my fucking YouTube channel. There's a whole breakdown of Bernays propaganda on there. Right. But, like, this guy here, I'm not 100% sure whether he's just Pavlovian trained or if he's just carrying water for, like, corporate interest. I'm pretty sure he's just carrying water for corporate interest in the end of the day, right? He's a propagandist. He's a professional propagandist. And he's not terrible at what he does. You know what I mean? They have a good, WISECRACK has a really good, you know what I mean, little YouTube channel there, right? It's not even little, it's a big YouTube channel, right? And that stands here and puts out a lot of garbage ass institutional propaganda. And I'll be real, I would respect corporations and the institutions more if they said it themselves, but they don't, right? They use guys like this to fucking promote their shit. But let's rock and roll, man. Let's get to where we're getting to. Let's go.
Hey, what's up, guys? Michael here. Now, according to certain thought leaders and activists, the greatest existential threat facing higher education in America is, wait for it, diversity. More specifically, DEI. Now, this stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it sparked a wave of terror and anxiety once.
All right, let's be real here. All right, this is kind of important to understand. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, all right, is literally what corporations do to be able to stand here and bring in more people to drop fucking labor rates. That's what this is, okay? That's nothing the fuck else. Like, literally, like, trucking companies try to, like, stand here and go, like, listen, we want DEI so they can bring in women so that they can drop the rates of motherfucking pay for, like, everybody at the company. This is what this is. In the end of the day, it's literally, this is a labor cost-saving device, all right? And that's really what this is. And you go, listen, they're doing it at, you know, like, fucking universities. Yes. Literally, we're gonna get into, like, the whole thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna go the whole way there. But at the moment, like, all this shit is literally about putting more people into the system because GDP number go up. Let's keep rocking though.
Reserved for letters like WMD, STD, or for the kids out there.
Yeah, listen, no one cares, dog. Like, no one cares. All right. Yo, seriously, like, making these stupid jokes about, like, fucking WMD, and he's going to go, SATs. But who the fuck takes an SAT? Why? Like, why? Like, real why? Again, why would you fucking do any of these things? Like, you know, like, most people now don't want to go to college anymore. Like, you know, it's fucking literally, everybody talks about child abuse, right? They're like, listen, you know, shouldn't hit your kids. You know what's bad? Locking them in a box for 13 fucking years and then charging them for the privilege of going another 4. Indebting them for the next 20 years of their life. That's fucking abuse. Like, real shit. That is fucking abuse. And, like, you motherfuckers with your dumb shit. Like, bruh, this is, why? Like, why? For what reason? You know, all y'all motherfuckers have to do is say no. And, like, all this shit ends tomorrow. All you gotta do is say no. Like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. Right? And just, like, Again, like if everybody would just say no, we're not doing this, we're not getting a college degree, fucking train us. The companies look like literally. The reason why everybody has to go to universities is because companies don't want to fucking train people. They're offloading the cost of fucking training to corporations. Real shit. That's all this fucking shit is. Listen, the corporations are offloading it to universities to fucking people, right? So people will take out the debt to train them fucking selves so they can go into work and already be fucking trained for a fucking environment where literally they're going to provide production for the fucking goddamn corporation. It's ridiculous. It's the dumbest system I've ever seen. And you fucking people don't understand.
There, SAT.
The equity and vision by DEI advocates
and the bitch is he brings this guy, like this is the guy he uses for like his shit. I fucking hate this dude, like so much. I fucking hate this guy. Like I fucking hate him. This fucking goddamn fucking Furby looking motherfucker. This guy is trash. I come across like I doom scroll through YouTube Shorts sometime for like hours because I'm fucking retarded, right? And I get stuck, right? And this guy's shit comes up and he's like, oh, I talked to a customer today and he blah 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 blah. Fuck this guy. I fucking hate this guy so fucking much. Like, fuck this dude, simping ass piece of shit.
Entails a lot more aggression and even violence than you might think.
Now, the stage was set last year when the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action, and 22 states proposed 40 anti-DEI bills.
We are also going to eliminate all DEI and CRT bureaucracies in the state of Florida. No funding, and that will wither on the vine.
Also, Supreme Court. I think we did a video about that once. It was pretty good. Check it out. Now, many media figures argued that DEI efforts promote bigotry, and well-funded activist groups took aim at inclusivity efforts by Major League Baseball, Meta, Pfizer, Atlas Air, and more. As 2023 came...
Okay. All right, bro. Like, let's discuss this, right? Because, like, yo, we've been following this shit here recently, and I'm probably going to end up having to do a video on it, right? So, like, literally, these companies, right? Like, yo, they're literally, like, showing up. Their planes are showing up being delivered with, like, loose parts, right? Fucking, like, yo, the fucking plane, the engine, the fucking actual manufacturers of the planes are standing here buying parts that, like, are trash, right? Like, they're fake fucking, like, parts, right? And then, like, the Army is buying these Pegasus tankers for, like, refueling in the air, and there's trash inside of the fucking tankers and shit, inside the tanks, inside the pumps, right? And there's, like, missing pieces being shown up with, like, fucking jets that are showing up to airports, right? Like, literally, like, and this all comes from the fact that, like, these motherfuckers think they can just hire whoever, right? They don't fucking care. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to fucking stand. Like, they're hiring these fucking people who are coming out of, like, these colleges and engineering schools, right? Who have no idea how to engineer or, like, you know, do anything. And they're hiring these managers, these supervisors that are, like, coming out of, like, fucking colleges with management degrees or whatever nonsense in business administration. And they have no idea what the fuck they're doing, right? Like, literally, like, this whole system is completely and utterly falling the fuck to pieces. Now, look, I don't fly, all right? I've never been on a fucking plane. I will ever be on a goddamn plane. So to me, I just find it funny. Like, if planes start falling out of the skies, I'm just going to assume the system is collapsing, and I'm just going to rub my hands and go, good, right? You know what I mean? Like, listen, I just want to fucking toast marshmallows by the fire of the burning down of this fucking society. Me personally. You know what I mean? But, like, yo, look, let's keep fucking going, all right? Let's keep rocking.
Came to a close, the internet's favorite funny boy tweeted, DEI must DIE. Guys, I guarantee you, he sat.
Yeah, listen, these motherfuckers hate Musk, right? And I'll be honest, I don't like Musk either, right? But, like, these guys here, like, they just, look at him, bro. Like, look at him. Like, they really fucking don't like this dude, just as an in general thing. Like, they see him as, like, this, you know, just this shit poster. He's like, oh, you know, he's just a little boy shit poster. Like, let's keep going. Let's keep fucking going.
On that, and he thought about it, and he was like, this one is going to CRUSH, because he's like that. And
how do you know what he's like? Have you hung out with him? Like, this is the fucking problem. Like, legit, have you hung out with a dude? Like, real shit.
24 kicked off with Harvard's first black female president, Claudine Gay, resigning, an apparent symbol of DEI rot. Now, if this feels like a bit of cultural whiplash, it's because it is. As recently as 2020, DEI efforts were stronger than ever when the murder of George Floyd galvanized a surge of Black Lives Matter activism, spotlighting systemic racism. A 55% increase in DEI-related roles followed as businesses and governments responded to public.
Yes and no, right? So, like, what happened is that corporations, like, who were upset about the fact that, like, Donald Trump put up tariffs against fucking China and, you know what I mean, like, fucking sat here and stopped their, like, shoes from being delivered, people like Nike, ended up standing here funding a whole bunch of people to go, like, riot in the fucking streets and make him look bad, right? And that's actually what fucking happened. We're going to get into this in a little bit. You know what I mean? We're going to get into this in a little bit. Let's keep rocking, though.
Public outcry. But American politics has a seesaw-like quality, and the tide has now turned. These days, experts are all but giving eulogies for DEI. There are some good faith arguments against certain DEI initiatives. You know, there's pricey office diversity training programs, and many of them have found to be, at best, ineffective in the long term, and at worst, actively harmful, even when they're not being led by this guy.
Absolutely. Namaste.
Also, if you guys have horror stories from your own weird office diversity trainings, please tell us those stories. We'd love to hear them. But there's also a growing swell of bad faith arguments that would have you believe that the greatest threat to American culture is Black anthropology professors. So we're left wondering, why does DEI inspire so...
Yo, look, all right, let me keep this 100. I went to college, like, for, like, a semester or two, right? Because I'm dumb. Right. And like I went and got my GED and they were like, hey, now you can go to college. And like I should have been like slow the fuck down. It's obvious high school was whooping my ass. You know what I mean? Because I'll be honest with you, like I'm barely fucking literate when it comes to writing. Like I can read my ass off. You know what I mean? I can talk up and down about like economics and geopolitics. Right. And, you know, I know a lot of stuff and I'm very, very well read. And, you know, I have a high IQ. Just, you know, writing has always been something that I'm not really good at as far as like putting together sentence structure and paragraphs and stuff. You know what I mean? And there was a reason why I flunked out of fucking high school. It was mostly because I didn't go because like fucking I hated that place. I told them, listen, you want me to go to school, you need to fucking pay me. Right? See, that's what's known as self-respect right there. You know, having some self-worth and some value, right? Understanding that like, hey, look, you know, I don't see the purpose in me going to this fucking school. Unless you're going to give me money to be here, because I can go make money when I'm not here. Like, I don't know why it is that you're forcing me to be at a place where I'm not making money. This is fucking dumb. But all right, let's keep rocking though. Let's keep banging. But yo, listen, Black anthropology fucking professors are not the fucking issue. The problem is underwater lesbian basket weaving, and just in general, people going to college, right? Because they go, listen, this is the way to get to a better life, or it's some rite of fucking passage. Because the boomers were fucking dumb and paid like $12 for their fucking college education, right? Let's keep this all the way 100.
Such animosity. What's so bone-chilling about Starbucks promoting diversity in its workplace? And where the hell does America go from here? Well, let's explore it in this video.
Well, the reason why like it's bone-chilling for anybody to promote diversity in the workplace is because what they're saying is we want to pay you less. That's literally that's the whole fucking thing. In the end of the day. Nothing else. Just we want to pay you less fucking money. That's what they're saying when they say diversity. It's that fucking simple. That's really what all of it's about. And like these cocksmokers here, they don't know that. I don't think this guy knows that shit. I think he's just, you know what I mean, a propagandist who is pro institution. He doesn't understand like anything about what the fuck he's talking about. Let's keep rocking though.
Video, how diversity became a bad word. Okay, so let's start with a quick bird's eye view of things. DEI refers to a variety of institutional trainings, policies, and practices aimed at remedying systemic inequities, with programs ranging from seminars on racism to the implementation of hiring strategies to add more diversity to an organization. So why do various attempts by corporations and universities to provide things like trainings, mentorships, or more inclusive promotion policies make people so gosh darn mad? Well, the angry backlash against DEI efforts actually looks remarkably familiar if you take even a passing glance at what life has been like for most minority groups throughout American history. Spoiler alert, not good. But parallels to the current moment feel most starkly
This is the Pavlovian thing, right? This is what it is, right? The moment anybody bitches about like diversity, they bring up Martin Luther King, right? I mean, when they should be bringing up fucking Malcolm X, right? In the end of the day, like, because Malcolm X had the better idea. But let's let him keep going just a little bit, and then I'm just gonna fucking smash everything he fucking believes in. Let's go.
Apparent when you look at Black Americans' struggle for racial equality, where every small win has been followed by waves of anxiety, anger, and violence. What's remarkable is that this kind of backlash tends to occur before meaningful progress is actually made. Now, as historian Lawrence Glickman writes, the pattern is this: American reactionary politics is nearly always preemptive, predicting catastrophe and highlighting potential slippery slopes. In other words, any whisper of change echoes into a fever pitch of anxiety that such change will go too far. And according to Glickman, you can't talk American backlash without talking post-Civil War Reconstruction. Now, in the early
This marks the potential start of a third world war, and we will soon be hit with a silent, untraceable attack on America that unfortunately.
Now, in the early days of the Civil War, even folks prepared to fight against slavery often opposed the idea of actually integrating black people into society. It's kind of like when people put those signs in their front yard that's like, everyone is welcome here, but then they live in like a super gentrified neighborhood where they don't let anyone in there, and on the next door app, everyone's just like, oh, I saw a black person, they're gonna kill my kids. I don't know. As Carol Anderson chronicles in her book White Rage, this aversion was so strong that everyone's favorite president, Abraham Lincoln, once summoned 5 black leaders to the White House, where he explained that blacks and whites are too different to live together. He then asked these leaders to help him convince black people to just leave America and then resettle in a new colony that he'd selected in what's now Panama. The Central American countries weren't super into the idea, so it never panned out. But it'd be interesting to see what his legacy would be like if that would have worked. But that's just a taste of how even the capital G good white guys were talking. Now, it would take 3 more years from the squashing.
All right, let's get into this. Right. I'm not listening. No, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going, bro, because like he's fucking dumb. We're gonna keep going.
That plan and 5% of the population getting cannon fired by their neighbors to usher in the end of chattel slavery. But as the war came to an end, it seemed like black people would finally be treated like, people. As federal troops occupied the South, more than 500,000 black men became voters, with turnout as high as 90%, and black political activism blossomed. But as slow gains were being made, reactionary mobilization was a brewing. Now, Lincoln's successor, Andrew Johnson, who called America a country for white people, pardoned many Confederate leaders, which allowed them to quickly reestablish political control over the South and over the black people they still wanted to own. Letting former slave owners take the South back, Anderson argues, effectively laid the groundwork for an unabashed reign of terror and anti-black violence. The Southern elite also crafted the Black Codes, which would evolve into Jim Crow and required black people to sign wildly underpaid labor contracts with local plantations, mills.
Okay, let's address this. This is highly important to understand. That was not. This is not the people you think it is. All right, he's saying it as if like these are like the Southern gentry. Oh, well, my God, I caught the vapors. Not those. It was more like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna put some backs on the farms. It was more like certain people from Rhode Island who celebrated Hanukkah who did that. Let's keep it 100% honest here. Like literally, Ulysses S. Grant had to ban them from the South after the Civil War because they basically kept trying to put them back on the goddamn plantations and steal all the fucking cotton. That's where the fucking term carpetbagger came from. Keeping this 100% honest. All right, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I ain't anti anybody in any way, but I just want to keep this honest about what the fucking situation was at that point. All right, like let's keep this honest here. All right.
And mines, or be charged with vagrancy, which is punishable by brutal whipping or imprisonment with hard labor. Guys, they basically just reinvented slavery and used different words for it. And that's going to come up later because we're going to see a repetition of that in a modern context. in case you were wondering. Anderson details the suffocating restrictions on Southern black people. They weren't allowed to hunt or fish and were banned from using any higher wage skills they had, like blacksmithing. And this is despite my good friend Ron DeSantis' rosy claims about the enslaved person to tradesman pipeline.
These are the most robust standards in African American history, probably anywhere in the country.
The new guidelines require middle school students be taught, quote, how slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
There were many slaves in the 1860s who helped build the fucking railroad afterward, freed slaves, and who ended up working in, like a lot of factories, meat packing places, butcheries, things of this nature, right? Please do not, stand here and think that black people just immediately were banned from using their fucking skills in any way. There's literally, like, I don't know if you've ever heard, like, the fucking John Henry thing. They used to play it for us in school all the fucking time. Like, literally, John Henry was a real dude, right? He was a steel driving man, right? They said he took his chains and turned them into a hammer, which is probably bullshit. But, like, he most definitely built his own hammer and went to the fucking railroad and started working there. You know what I mean? And to keep this honest, right? The fact that, like, they were citizens held them back, right? It wasn't because of the fact that, like, they were black. It was because of the fact that they were not Chinese, right? Keeping this all the way 100. Right, because they wanted to use Chinese labor because it was extremely cheap and they could, pay them like in nonsense fucking, Chinese money. That's Richard Price, but they used to pay them that Yang money. See, nigga don't want none of that, right? Lincoln, right? He said, I met Tulo. He was over here giving bootleg haircuts. He said, making all the niggas look Chinese so you can get a job on the railroad. Right, like these are well-known things, man. I don't know why it is that like this dude has to lie about shit. It's unnecessary as fuck. Let's keep going.
I'll see you at the next family reunion, Ron. Now, this marks the beginning of a pattern. As soon as black people gain any measure of progress, it's met with intense violent backlash. Similar preemptive backlash came in 1914, when the possibility of escaping the violence and oppression of Jim Crow spurred the great migration of black folks to the north, which one Southern leader called the first step the nation's servant class ever took without asking. His white-skinned brethren seethed at the prospect of losing the cheap labor that sustained the Southern economy. So then they went back to the drawing board and they rebalanced the ledgers and then they offered really competitive wages to, I'm just kidding, I'm not even gonna make a joke. You know it didn't get better. You know that, I know that, everyone knows that. These guys did everything possible to keep them stuck in the South, from stopping trains on their tracks for days, to pressuring train companies not to issue tickets to black people, to imprisoning labor agents recruiting black workers, to once again simply imprisoning black folks for vagrancy. See how they do this? They just they make up a concept and they're like, oh, but if you do this, we can just throw you in jail. Interesting. While Anderson notes a whopping 10% of Southern black folks did escape the South, the backlash was devastatingly effective overall. Now you might say, Michael, which is my name, surely progress is linear, and the racist backlash against black progress that happened over 100 years ago would be the last. And to that I would say no. I guess I could make a joke about it, but it's too depressing to joke about. Now, 1954 brought Brown versus Board of Education, which nominally desegregated schools. Now, faced with the possibility of white and black kids learning long division together, many Southerners just straight up lost their minds. I would say that seeing footage.
All right, man. Listen, I've had enough. Okay, so let's get into like some reality shit here, right? Because it's highly important we start actually having a real conversation. All right, let me get rid of this motherfucker in front of me for the moment. Okay, so let's talk about this, right? Because this is highly important to understand. Actually, you know what? We're gonna start with Friedrich List, right? Friedrich List was a economist who lived up until 1849, and he came up with what was known as a national system. And the basic premise is that you warehouse or you greenhouse your local fucking economy and your industry and all these type of things until it can stand on its own. And like you put up tariffs and all that type of shit, right? And so until it can stand on its own and it's ready to rock and it can compete with everybody the fuck else, right? Now, this idea, right, was not actually applied to like segregation with black people, but it should have been, keeping it 100% honest, right? Because during Jim Crow in these type of years, right, there were black businesses, right? There were black funeral homes, right? You know what I mean? It's black and entrepreneurs, black restaurants, right? Literally like a fucking like black, like a whole black economy, right? And this black economy, right, was growing, right? And as it grew, like they had Black Wall Street, all this type of stuff, and yes, racist people burned it the fuck down, which is again not fucking positive as a whole. You know what I mean? I'm not pro that in any way. But like due to the fact that like blacks were literally starting off, you know what I mean, from scratch in 1860 or 1865 and building from there, right? And even then, like with a lot of racist undertones from a whole bunch of like jealous ass white people, especially like when the upper class, remember something, this is highly important to understand, okay? Poor whites are usually egged on by rich whites, right? In the end of the day. And when poor whites get egged on by rich whites, they end up doing dumb things, and it's fucking stupid, right? It ends up like, it should be class solidarity, but it tends to be racial solidarity in America, which is fucking dumb as an in general thing, right? And what ends up happening is you have these rich white people who sit here and try to convince like poor white people that black people are the reason why it is that they're not making any fucking money, right? Now, this fucking mentality like was pervasive and still is pervasive today, right? In the end of the day, like you still have rich whites, you know what I mean, sitting here provoking fucking poor whites, you know what I mean, to fucking stand here and take on the power, take on the motherfucking the racial segregation ideologies that are fucking happening right now, right? It's fucking dumb and it's stupid and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And part of it even today is just the fact that like literally, as it forever was, sensationalism and yellow journalism and the goddamn fucking industry and the news industry as a whole keeps motherfucking black people looking like shit and scares white people, especially white women, which is, by the way, why white women want to stand here and act like, you know what I mean, oh, man, listen, you white men are terrible. The reason is because of the fact that literally most of this shit is their fucking fault. But, you know what I mean, they don't want to take responsibility for any of these type of things. Now, let's talk about the 1960s, okay, the Civil Rights Movement. Because this is highly important to understand, okay? It really is. All right, we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to go to this here, okay? Throughout U.S. history, corporations have played a critical role in social activism. Because businesses, their executives, and their customers do not exist in the social vacuums, corporations have taken on different roles in the ebbs and flows of social change. For instance, during the 1960s, many corporations openly supported the civil rights movement, even in the face of serious and dangerous resistance. Many businesses played a crucial role in lobbying Presidents John Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson to in the epic political battles that ultimately led to the passage and enforcement of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Civil Rights Act of 1968. But why, you say? Why? Why would they do this? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe because inflation was ticking up, right? And they wanted to add in more of a workforce, right? And not just blacks, but also women, right? In the end of the day, right? Whoa, look at this, right? And I mean, yeah, it rose like 3 or 4% in 1960, right? And then went back down like 2%, but then it went back up like 20 or 15% in the fucking 1970s. And this is because of the Federal Reserve, right? The Federal Reserve had a full employment mandate, you know what I mean, to stand here and keep employment, you know what I mean, at like, you know what I mean, at a 0%, you know what I mean, as much as close as possible to doing so. And the reason why, right, was because of the fact in the 1930s and 40s, during the Great Depression and right after, what they wanted to do is they wanted to make sure nobody supported like socialism or communism. They wanted to support capitalism because capitalism kept the people who were rich, right, in the end of the day. And in doing so, what ended up happening was, right, after like the Brown versus Board of Education, what ended up happening, right, in 1965, 24% of black infants and 3.1% of white infants were born to single mothers. By the 1990s, the rates had raised to 64% for black infants and 18% for whites, right? And every year, about 1 million more children are born into fatherless families. If we have learned any policy lesson, it is that for children living in single-parent odds of living in poverty are great. The policy implications of the increase in out-of-wedlock births are staggering. Well, you know, this is, you know, I mean, in the end of the day, like, you know, what it is. As black women went to work in white corporations, you ended up having, you know what I mean, massive amounts of motherfucking like single mothers and people standing here striving and going hard. This is what capitalism does, folks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm not a communist or a socialist. Don't get anything misunderstood about like what I am. But what I am is a realist, okay? And I look at things the way like they are, okay? Instead of looking at things the way they're supposed to be or looking at things the way they're told to me, I look at things for what the fuck they are. In the end of the day, What this system does is keeps everybody off balance, so we keep grinding harder so they can have more fucking progress and be able to continue to motherfucking make us strive to pay bills that we should have paid off years ago. Just honest reality of where the hell we are as a society. Keeping this 100. Were black people treated bad? Yes. Were black people better off, you know what I mean, like in the 50s and 60s like whites were? Probably. The chances of a black person having a business back then are much higher than today. And the opportunity for them to start a business was much higher than it is today. And the community was much better than it is today. For whites, blacks, and everybody else in between. Keeping this a buck, all right? So the problem is with, you know what I mean, guys like this dude, you know what I mean, right here, is that liberals only look at things through numbers they can understand, like GDP number go up or the economy or things of this nature. They can't really understand or fathom or even like have the, like they don't have the the intellectual fortitude to go like, man, listen, maybe like culture and like family and like social things are more important than fucking money. They can't bring themselves to have that thought. I don't know. Yo, look, I'm Tom Pease with Pnoid News. I hope y'all enjoyed this. All right. Y'all like, share, and subscribe. Holla at your boy. I'll be back, you know what I mean, with another one here soon. Peace.